I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the scheduled meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by the Township Council with scheduled designated time, date, and place of this meeting. And the public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Where using an electronic amplifying recording device in order to obtain an audible and clear record, we request all those wishing to speak be recognized and state your name and address directly into the microphone. The recording device be solely utilized by a Township Clerk's Office shall be the official record of the Township Council meetings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Present.
Mr. Schmidt?
Present.
Mr. Seiler? Mrs. Strato? Here. Mrs. Winters? Here. Mr. Mercado?
Present.
Mr. Bianchini?
Present.
Mr. Lechner? Chief Earl? Mr. Cartlemere?
Here.
Mr. Cantwell?
Here.
Mr. Cardis?
Here.
We have our first public portion. Anyone wishing to speak on agenda items only, please raise your hand, come to the microphone. Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Nancy Bonsall. I live at 423 Yorkshire Road in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And I am here to represent the Humane Society and the Best Friends Animal Sanctuary. We want to thank you for considering the passage of the ordinance to prevent the sale of puppy mill and cat mills in Gloucester Township. You will be joining with many other municipalities in Camden County, and in the future we hope that many will follow your lead. Tonight we help to make a difference for animals whose lives are filled with cruelty that is driven by greed. We also educate our citizens to understand that this is unacceptable and protect them from purchasing animals who very possibly will be sick and often have behavioral issues. Thank you for helping to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Anyone else? Seeing no other hands, we close the first public portion. Ordinances. These ordinances are of second reading, and there will be a public hearing. Ordinance O-15-17. Ordinance amending Chapter 47, Section 47-17A, B, and C, the Code of the Township of Gloucester entitled Pets and Animal Abuse by adding subsection D, regulating the sale of dogs and cats from pet shops. This ordinance will allow the township to prevent the sale of dogs and cats from pet shops that are being purchased via those puppy mills and cat mills. Dave, anything to add to that?
Nope, that covered.
We now have a public hearing on this ordinance. Seeing no hands, we close the public hearing. Motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Ordinance O-15-18. Ordinance amending Chapter 58 of the Code of the Township of Gloucester entitled Hawkers, Peddlers, Canvassers, and Solicitors Ordinance. This ordinance allows the township to add a proper investigative regulation for the police chief in this ordinance. Dave, anything to add to that?
No, that basically is what you were just saying.
We now have a public hearing on this ordinance. Seeing no hands, we close the public hearing. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Ordinance O-15-21. Ordinance authorizing execution of tax abatement agreement between the Township of Gloucester and Blackwood Holdings, LLC, Taco Bell, for premises block 20101, lot 10. This ordinance allows the township to execute a tax abatement agreement with Blackwood Holdings. We'll now have a public hearing on this ordinance. Seeing no hands, we close the public hearing. Motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
On the question, roll call please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Banky?
Yes. Ordinance O-15-22. Ordinance authorizing execution of tax abatement agreement between the Township of Gloucester and C. Keys LLC, known as Hobby Lobby, for premises block 18501, lot 12.01. This ordinance allows the township to go into a tax abatement agreement with C. Keys LLC. We now have a public hearing on this ordinance. Seeing no hands, we close the public hearing. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
On the question, roll call please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Banky?
Yes. Ordinance O-15-23. Ordinance authorizing execution of tax abatement agreement between the Township of Gloucester and David and Anthony Guzzo, Tilted Kilt Restaurant, for premises block 18612, lot 4.02. This ordinance allows the township to go into a tax abatement agreement with David and Anthony Guzzo. We now have a public hearing on this ordinance. Seeing no hands, we close the public hearing. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
On the question, roll call please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Banky?
Yes. Ordinance O-15-24. Ordinance authorizing execution of tax abatement agreement between Township of Gloucester and Grun LLC Fitness Center and Offices for premises block 7401, lot 19 and 20. Again, this ordinance authorizes the execution of a tax abatement between the Township and Grun LLC. We now have opening up to a public hearing on this ordinance. Seeing no hands, we close the public hearing. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
On the question, roll call please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Yes. Ordinance O-15-25. Ordinance authorizing execution of tax abatement agreement between the Township of Gloucester and Simon Creek Gloucester Development LLC for premises block 13111, lot 1. This ordinance allows the township to go into a tax abatement agreement with Simon Creek Gloucester Development LLC. This ordinance will now be open for a public hearing. Seeing no hands, we close the public hearing. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Banky?
Yes. Ordinance O-15-26. Ordinance determining necessity to acquire block 8601, lots 4, 5, and 6, and block 8602, lot 5, in the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, State of New Jersey, authorizing proper officials of the township to acquire same from Owens Corning by negotiations. This ordinance will allow the township to acquire the aforementioned block and lot numbers for the township at the Owens Corning landfill. Anything to add to that?
This is, as you indicated, this is the old Owens Corning site, as the township has been working hard for negotiating a private contractor to do solar paneling. It's the intent of the town. The draft form of the agreement is acceptable. It's the intent of the town to administration to acquire it simultaneously with the signing of the lease for the private provider solar panel.
Thank you, David. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
On the question, roll call please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Banky?
Yes. We have resolutions of consent agenda. Any council person wishing to remove any of these, please let me know now. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
On the question, Roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
383, resolution to make budget transfers between appropriations in the calendar year 2015 general fund budget.
This resolution will allow the township to make budget transfers for the calendar year 2015. Tom, anything to add? Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
On the question, roll call.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. We have an the GT eGov access question, and I have asked the township clerk to read that, since it is a comment more than a question, but there is a question at the end.
This is from Ray Polidoro of 79 Highland Avenue, Ariel. First, I would like to thank Council President Glenn Bianchini for years of public service, for allowing the residents of GT the time not only to voice their concerns to their government, but to give great flexibility to the time clock to conduct a dialogue with council. It shows great respect to the public. You also spoke to the people and not down to them as some in government have done. Even though I may not agree with your politics, thank you for being there for the people of Gloucester Township. My question, is it more important to stick to the clock or allow residents to complete their question or statement in its entirety?
So the answer, in my humble opinion, is, as I've always stated, you need to have a balance. So I think, although I try to give people the essence of completing their thoughts and their questions, there is a balance, and sometimes you need to control that. So that's my answer. I don't know if anybody else from council wants to comment on that. Thank you, Ray, for your question. We now have the second public portion. Anyone wish to speak on any item, please raise your hand, come to the microphone. Seeing no hands, we close the second public portion. Polling of directors and council.
Mr. Lechner?
I have nothing to report, thank you, other than have a happy new year.
Chief Earl?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Carlemere?
Nothing to report other than Happy New Year. Glenn, thank you for your service up here to not only this governing body, but to the community.
Mr. Cantwell?
Nothing to report, but again, we have a Happy New Year. Glenn, thank you for putting up with me for all this time. And Frank, understand you also won't be here next year, so no.
Nice knowing John. Nice to meet everybody. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
I think you want to get out of here.
Nice hearing Nice hearing from you, John.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Cardis?
Happy New Year, and Glenn, 15 years,
A little more, but that's fine.
been through a lot, and hope to keep seeing you coming around.
Thank you.
Mr. Hutchison?
Thank you very much for coming out this evening, and Glenn, I've already said my piece to you. You know how I feel about you. But I was speaking with the Republican chairman today, and he echoes my feelings. He thinks the world of you. You're a gentleman. We all know you're a gentleman. You taught me a lot. You taught everybody.
Mr. Schmidt?
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Have a happy new year. John, I understand you will not be with us. Well, thank you for everything. You've been very professional and on the ball all the time. Glenn, thank you for your wisdom and your leadership. You will be missed. Thank you.
Mrs. Strato?
I'd just like to also take the opportunity, Glenn, to thank you for your service for the 16 years, and it's been a pleasure working with you the last 4 years. You've been a true gentleman and a true mentor, and I thank you for that. And I also, unfortunately, Sam can't be here, but this is the end of Sam's term, and I just wanted to acknowledge that I'm very grateful for his time with council, and he was a true mentor also to me when making the decision to run. And while running, we had a lot of fun, Sam and Glenn and Orlando and myself, and for that I will never forget the memories that we made, and I wish Sam and Glenn all the best. Thank you, and Happy New Year, everyone.
What's her name?
Yeah. For a minute there, I thought you skipped me.
Mrs. Winters?
I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone. Have a safe holiday. And Glenn, thank you so much for your years of service and the time we spent together. It wasn't that long, but it was fun.
Yes. Thank you.
Mr. Mercado?
You got 3 minutes, dude.
Thank you for coming out this evening. Happy New Year's, and I'll save my comments for Saturday since you're going to be a real one. Have a good evening.
Mr. Dean?
I'd like to thank all the residents for attending tonight's meeting. And as you can tell, this is my last one presiding over this council, and it's been a great many years. But I also want to acknowledge, as Councilwoman Trotto stated, Sam Seiler. Sam obviously is still recovering from his illness, and Sam was here when I came on in the year 2000. He's truly a statesman. He's truly what epitomizes our country, someone who served this country for many, many years, taught me a ton about how to be a councilman, as well as given me many times tips on being council president. So it's truly sad that Sam could not be here for his final meeting, but he's always in our hearts, and I know we all been thinking of him, and some of us visited him, and let's just keep him in our prayers and hope that he can get back to his family. With that, I love to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So good.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.